Have you seen Fred? Has Fred called? He said I could have it. Laughs. I said no, I already have one. Laughs.
Yeah.
Why didn't he understand? He's going to call. I know he will.
Good evening, ma'am.
Has Fred called?
We don't know, ma'am.
Now, this is the story of Esohe, a woman who walked away from the man who truly loved her because he was poor, choosing instead to marry a wealthy stranger from Abuja. But 10 years later, tragedy struck when her husband died. Then fate brought her face to face with the same man she had once left behind, a man who was now made and happily married. What followed was a chain of choices, betrayal, heartbreak, and a shocking ending that no one saw coming. Stay with me until the very end to witness the twists, the painful lessons, and the tragic fate of Esohe. But before we begin, please hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. The people of Uselu in Benin City still remembered the day Esohe lost her mind. Every morning, she sat on the cracked concrete bench outside the small bungalow she had inherited from her late father. She stared into space for hours, clutching an old handbag that had long since faded. Sometimes she smiled at people who were not there. Sometimes she whispered a man's name, Fred. You promised me. Children were warned not to laugh at her. Older women simply shook their heads. If only she had known that some doors close forever, they would say. But 20 years earlier, no one could have imagined that the beautiful young woman who laughed louder than everyone else would become the silent woman who barely recognized herself. At 29, Esohe was beautiful, hardworking, and respected. She sold fabrics in a small shop at Ring Road in Benin City. Although she earned little, she dreamed of building a peaceful home with the man she loved. His name was Fred. Fred had loved Esohe since they were both in their early 20s. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't irresponsible. Life had simply refused to smile on him. He worked as a technician, taking any electrical repair jobs he could find. Some months were good. Most months were terrible. Yet every evening he visited Esohe's shop with roasted corn, groundnuts, or a bottle of malt. I know it isn't much, he would always say. She would smile. As long as it comes from you. They dreamed together. They spoke about children, about buying land, about building their own house one block at a time. Years passed. The dreams remained dreams. Whenever Fred mentioned marriage, he always added the same sentence. Just give me a little more time. At first, Esohe believed him. Then she turned 28 and the questions started. When are you getting married, though? Are you enjoying this story? Stay with me. We are still going somewhere. But before we move on, kindly hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I know you have. Thank you. Let's continue. Don't allow age to catch you. A woman cannot keep waiting forever. Her mother became increasingly worried. My daughter, she said one evening, love is important, but a woman also needs security. What happens if this man never succeeds? I saw her defended Fred. He is trying. Her mother sighed. But trying is not the same as succeeding. As her 30th birthday drew closer, the pressure became unbearable. Then one Sunday after church, her aunt introduced her to a wealthy businessman from Abuja named Chief Osahon. The man was calm, polite, and successful. Within 3 weeks of meeting Esoe, he came with his family to ask for her hand in marriage. Everything happened so quickly that she barely had time to think. When Fred heard the news, he rushed to her shop. So this is true. She couldn't look into his eyes. They've accepted his proposal. Fred felt his knees weaken. So after everything, you're leaving me. Tears rolled down his cheeks. I've waited for years, Esohe said. I know. I can't keep waiting. I only need 1 more year. You said that before. This time, I mean it. I believe you, but I can't risk my future anymore. Fred felt both hands getting cold. I love you. I love you too. Then don't do this. She slowly pulled away. Love is no longer enough. Those 5 words shattered him. 2 months later, she married Chief Osahon and they both moved to Abuja. Fred never attended the wedding. Instead, he spent the entire day inside his room, wondering how love could lose to fear. Now I have this question. If you were Sohe, would you have considered waiting more years for Fred? Let me get all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let's find out what happened next. Marriage treated Esoe kindly. Chief Osanho respected her. He never raised his voice. He provided everything she needed. Within 5 years, they had 3 children. Their home was peaceful. Although she occasionally remembered Fred, those memories became fewer as family responsibilities filled her days. Back in Benin City, Fred slowly picked himself up. He threw himself into work. He accepted contracts outside Edo State, learned new electrical installation skills. Years later, he started his own company. Money finally began to come. 8 years after I saw her married, Fred also got married. His wife, Helen, was a secondary school teacher. She was gentle, patient, and deeply devoted to him. People who knew Fred believed he had finally healed. Life moved on. Then tragedy struck. 10 years into her marriage, Chief Osahon collapsed unexpectedly during a business meeting. Doctors fought to save him, but they couldn't. The news broke Esohe completely. She mourned sincerely. For months, she wore nothing but black. She cried until she had no tears left. Family members surrounded her. Friends encouraged her. Gradually, she accepted the painful reality that she was now a widow. Years passed. One afternoon, she returned to Benin City for a family ceremony. As she stood outside greeting relatives, someone called her name. Esohe. She turned. It was Fred. Older, more confident, more successful. For a moment, neither of them spoke. It felt as though time had folded back on itself. You look well, Fred finally said. So do you. I'm sorry about your husband. Thank you. That brief conversation should have ended there. Instead, they exchanged phone numbers. Let me ask this question again before we move on. Do you believe it is okay to have your ex's phone number? I mean, what's the big deal? It's already in my past. Or you are team, no way on earth is my ex having my number. Let's get your thoughts down below. The course began first once a week, then every evening. They spoke about old memories. They laughed over youthful mistakes. Before long, feelings they had buried years earlier returned with frightening speed. One evening, Fred said quietly, I never stopped wondering what would have happened if you had waited. Esohe remained silent. Neither of them mentioned his wife. Neither admitted what they were becoming. The line between friendship and emotional intimacy disappeared. Within months, they were secretly involved. Whenever Fred traveled for work, he visited Esohe. They convinced themselves that destiny has simply brought them back together. Deep inside her heart, Esohe wished for one thing. She wished Fred's marriage would somehow end so that they could finally become husband and wife. She never voiced that wish, but it lived quietly within her. Life, however, has a way of unfolding beyond human plans. After several years of battling an illness, Helen died. Fred buried his wife with genuine grief. At the funeral, he cried openly, watching from a distance. Esohe believed her own waiting was finally over. She imagined that after the mourning period, Fred would come with his family to pay her bride price, and so she moved to Benin, back to her parents' house. Months passed. Nothing happened. Whenever she hinted about marriage, Fred smiled. Let's not rush. She reminded herself to be patient. After all, she had him now. Or so she thought. Years continued to pass. People in Benin City gradually became aware of their relationship. Many disapproved. Some women refused to greet Esohe. Others whispered whenever she walked by. She waited for another woman's husband. Now let's see if he marries her. Those words hurt, but she ignored them. She had waited too long to give up. 7 years after Helen's death, Fred visited her one evening with surprising news. I've received an opportunity overseas. What? I'm relocating. Her smile disappeared. When are we getting married? We will discuss that. No, she stood up. We've discussed it for years. People already know we are together. I cannot remain your girlfriend forever. Fred looked uncomfortable. Please understand. I do not understand. If you are leaving, pay my bride price first. He avoided her eyes. I need to settle down first. When? Soon. You've been saying soon for years. He sighed. I'll call you. A week later, he traveled without marrying her. At first, he called regularly, then less frequently. Eventually, weeks became months. Months became years. Whenever I saw her called, he claimed to be busy. Whenever she asked about marriage, he changed the subject. 3 years later, a former neighbor returned from abroad. He carried shocking news. You haven't heard? Heard what? Fred got married now. Esohe laughed. Stop joking. I'm serious. He secretly married a young lady he had sponsored through university. The two of them traveled abroad together years ago. The wedding was held quietly. Her smile froze. No, no now. People didn't tell you. She stared at her without blinking. No. Her phone slipped from her hand. Everything around her became strangely quiet. Every sacrifice, every year, every insult, every hope, all of it had been for nothing. She locked herself indoors for days. She refused to eat. She replayed every conversation she had ever had with Fred. Every promise, every excuse, every lie. Friends knocked, she wouldn't answer. Her parents begged her to move on, she couldn't. The betrayal became all she could think about. Weeks later, neighbors noticed something was wrong. Esohe wondered outside at odd hours talking to herself. Sometimes she dressed for a wedding that wasn't happening. Sometimes she smiled at passing cars, believing Fred had finally come to marry her. Other days, she became angry with invisible people. She slowly lost touch with reality. Doctors described it as a severe mental health crisis brought on by prolonged emotional trauma, unresolved grief, and devastating betrayal. Treatment helped only a little. Years later, people still saw her sitting quietly outside her house, whispering to herself. Whenever anyone greeted her, she asked the same question: Has Fred called? No one knew how to answer. Fred never returned. He remained overseas with his new wife, living the life he had chosen. As for Esohe, she continued waiting for a man who had long stopped looking back. We have come to the end of this story. But before we close it, I'd like to ask you this really sincere question. What do you think of Esohe? What do you think of Fred? And what do you think of the role the society had to play in this matter? Please leave all your comments and your thoughts down below in the comment section, because somebody might be reading to learn. We have come to the end of this story. Please let me know if you'd be needing a part 2. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please leave a comment. Please subscribe. Or do you want me to cry first before you do that? I know that you're kind enough to do that. Thank you so much for all the time that you have spent, for joining me to this extent. This is a bye for now. I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.